Hey guys, how you going? This is Fall Down FPS here from the second channel that I have. This is the second channel. If you don't know what my primary channel is, please click the link in the description. You'll see my other gaming content. Some gaming content is already on this as we speak. So yeah, thanks, and we'll see you in the full review. So we're back, guys, and if you stick with us, this is the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 780 GHz edition. Now, I actually have quite a funny story behind this, guys. I went to go pick up the first one that I had from the retailer, and it was actually a DOA, which is really annoying. It installed drivers fine, you know, it browsed the internet fine, but as soon as I actually started to use one of the RAM modules, the entire thing died. So I'm gonna pick another one. So yeah. So as I said before, it is a Gigabyte edition from the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 780. It runs the GK110 GPU, which is, for some of you guys who do not know, it's basically what a full-fledged Titan uses, except it's declocked a bit, has half the amount of RAM, and not as much CUDA cores, which isn't as bad when you're considering this thing to be used in games. This is what this is used for. It's used for games. The Titan Black, the Titan Z, the new ones coming up, those things are used for CUDA development if you don't want to buy a LeadTech Quadro. So what we have here is the Gigabyte edition, and it's the Tri-Cooler WindForce edition. So what it does is actually output 450 watts of heat dissipation. You cannot fault Gigabyte for this. It is an amazing amount of heat dissipation. It does use their GPU Boost 2.0, so it does factor in its temperature. It runs at a stock of 80 degrees, which is really reasonable, but I'll probably be bumping it up to 90 because AMD cards, they use 95 degrees and they say it's fine, so 90 degrees for me is like a midway point and I'll get a bit more performance out of it. However, by itself, this card is a beast. So let's take it out. If some of you guys don't know, it does have 3 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory. It has a 384-bit memory bus, which means basically it's fast memory. And it has support for up to 4K gaming, which is ridiculous. Even though it won't support, Crysis at 4K, it's amazing nonetheless. So let's unbox this beast. So what we have here is the WindForce card. Let's just take it out of the packaging very carefully. Accidentally took this off. So this is the card. As you can see, it is still in the plastic, brand new. I'm going to leave it here in its anti-static bag. So in the box here, we have the Gigabyte piece of cardboard. No one wants that. So we have a 2 Molex to 8 pin connectors, a certification sticker, warranty commitment, a quick start guide. I actually haven't seen much of these in recent cards. It's nice to be able to get one of these. You don't get these much anymore, which is a shame. And you have a shooting star. Okay, no one needs this, please. If you're buying a new card, download the new ones from online. Chances are, even if it's a brand new card, new ones are already out. So you'd be wasting your time installing these. The padding is actually really good. If you guys can see the padding, it's not ridiculously strong, it's not breakable, and it's very nice. It has a nice feel to it. So I am putting my money on that the card is in good condition. So we get the card here. Let's just break the seal open. Not the seal, the sticky tape. There we go. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Gigabyte GTX 780 WindForce GHz edition. It is very, very sexy. It has a backplate on this card. It is the original edition that I got was not the Gigahertz edition. I'm very surprised. Upgrading by $50 gets you a premium looking backplate, which you could install a water cooler on. Now, don't think this is going to help in cooling, because it won't. It will help a little bit, but it's not something that you really want to focus on. Really, what it does, it focuses on the card rigidity. This card will not flex that much. Now, you can see all the supported features here. You have your SLI ports, you have your PCIe port. I would assume if you are going to be running this, you better be putting it in your highest slot available, not your 8x slot like some people that I have known. You have your display port, which is here. You have your DVI slot, HDMI, which looks gold-plated. It is gold-plated. Nice work. And 2 DVI inputs. These are, so you have the analog and you have the digital. I'm assuming most people now have digital, but some people like me have a old VGA one that we kind of use because we're poor. So as we can see here, the Tri-Windforce fans. You cannot fault Gigabyte for their cooling. This thing achieves 450 watts of heat dissipation, and their ginormous heat sink also helps towards that. You can see here that the 2 heat sinks, it's actually 2 separate heat sinks, and there's a mixture of copper in the middle. That one houses one half of the RAM and the other half of the RAM and the GPU itself. And the copper tubing goes onto the GPU itself. As you can see at the top here, requires 2 8-pin connectors. So not much people actually sell that. So you'll have to use a 6-pin plus the 1-pin extension. And that's about it, guys. It comes with 3 gigabytes of RAM. It performs extremely well. Some benchmarks will be coming up after this. Do not worry about that. The video is not ending here. I'm not sure if it comes with the CMOS or BIOS switch, but I don't think it does. I was reading that some of them do. So I'm eager to find out if this one does. I cannot remember off the top of my head. So that's about it, guys. We will see you guys in the benchmarks. So guys, the graphics card is finally installed, and I actually want to report to you guys what the performance increase is like. Now, when I did my testing, it was simply to 60 FPS. It wasn't above that because I'm on a to can only display 60 FPS, and it doesn't really matter if you get 160 frames a second. It matters if you get 60 frames a second. So these are my results at 1080p and on as high settings as I could make them go. And this, remember, this is on stock settings. I did not overclock. I will be overclocking the card later, but now I just wanted to see what I could get with stock speeds to see whereabouts, how far ahead I got from my upgrade from the 660 Ti to the 780. And I actually had some really interesting things happen with certain games, one of which was Skyrim. You'd expect a game as old as Skyrim now to be able to run on max ultra settings at 1080p with an ENB installed and lots of mods, no problem. But it seemed that in my system that the CPU was holding my system back, and that I would need to overclock my CPU more in order to be able to get higher frame rates, use things like a depth of field and yeah, those things, and use the high quality texture packs on top of that. I'm using the 1K texture packs, not the 2K texture packs at the moment. It's not that bad, but
you'd expect maybe, but no. You need to overclock your CPU more. I haven't, and I plan to. On Battlefield 4, max settings, I got it to run at 60 frames a second, which was very good. And COD Ghosts maxed out 60 frames a second again. And Assassin's Creed 4 on fairly maxed out settings, it was 55 to 60 frames a second, depending on the region you are. Remember, you should turn off VSync in Assassin's Creed 4 regardless, because of the way that the VSync works is it will bring it down to 30 FPS if you're not achieving 60 frames a second all the time. If you don't achieve 60 frames a second, it'll pull you down to 30 frames a second to make sure that you don't get tearing. When in actual fact, you won't really notice that much tearing between anything lower than 60 frames a second and above 0 frames a second. If it was above 60 frames a second, you'd really notice the tearing. And with this card maxed out, you got average around 60-ish frames a second. So max out settings is pretty decent on this card. Pretty decent. Yeah, and that's about it, guys. Those are all the graphically intensive games that I have and that I tested with, and I was more than happy with my graphics card choice. And yeah. Oh, and one that I did forget to report was The Witcher 2, and I did get on its very high settings, without uber sampling and all the ridiculous things. It was at 60 frames a second as well. It was a very decent game. So I'm again restating, extremely happy with the card. It performs wicked, and yeah, that's about it. There will be an overclocking guide coming on after this, when I do learn how to overclock the card, and there will also be other things to come on this channel. So if you are somewhat interested, please remember to tap that like button and the subscribe button. Helps me out a lot, guys. And remember, please check out my my gaming channel. It will be linked right here, the box. You can click it, and that'll take you to my gaming channel. And as it said already on this, some of it is already on the 780 as it is, and it's actually really good with recording as well, because you have this thing, GeForce Experience, and that comes with Shadowplay, and you're able to record in H.264 encoding, and you get no drop in performance whatsoever. So I'll be able to record my games without a problem with the CPU, because my CPU is kind of falling behind now. It's sort of bottlenecking the graphics card, because the CPU just can't keep up with everything, because it's 2 generations old. It's a Sandy Bridge i7 2600. It's not even an unlocked processor. I got this thing when I had no idea what computers were. I just looked at the thing and I was like, it's an i7 and I want to buy it. And that's how it was. And I learned a lot since then, which was 3 years ago. And I do want to overclock and stuff, but that requires, well, more knowledge. I don't know that much about overclocking. I know about building computers and testing systems and all that stuff, but I have not overclocked a computer once, and that's going to be an experience. It's going to be fun. So that'll be recorded for you guys in a video to come. So please remember, tap that subscribe button and you won't miss that video. And I'll see you guys later. Check out the gaming channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video. For now, guys, see you later.